when we're used to going and cruising, out cruise control, 90 miles an hour, when we finally tell ourselves enough is enough, that we're not going to run this burnout wheel anymore, that we're going to become sustainable in ourselves, when we're going to create peace, when we start to pump those brakes, it feels like we're hitting a crash. Hey, beautiful souls, I'm Danny Green, and I assist healers and empaths in healing from burnout and creating a life that is holistically sustainable for them. This is kind of like a little extra video here. I was just talking about reasons to create space for breakthroughs, and as I was sharing that insight there in that conversation, I was having this memory of driving one day, and then I had written it down and I had wanted to share it with you all, but I hadn't made it out there yet. So, story time. When we go to slow down, when we realize we're burnt out, we have awareness. I see healers, empaths, people, humans all the time that are aware that they're burning both ends of the wick, that are aware that they're exhausted, that are aware that they don't have the space, that are aware that they keep doing the things, compacting the schedule and taking on more and creating more energy leaks and this and that. And they'll tell you that they're exhausted. They tell you that they know that they're doing too much. I've been that person. Are you that person? If you are, it's okay. But what keeps us from actually taking the action? What actually keeps us from pumping those brakes and saying like, we're gonna slow down? And like I said, story time. I was driving home one day and I had spent time with some wonderful people, but these people are doers. They're doers, and it's great to be a doer, right? Because we have to get shit done sometimes. Like, we need people to get shit done. But it's like, even on the surface, even though there's this great getting of the stuff done, on the subconscious there just feels like there's this burnout vibe. And I was just driving along and I didn't have anywhere to be. I was just going home and taking my time and going slow on the highway, and I just kept noticing the speed limit signs. And as I was driving along, I kept feeling like there's this, when we have that awareness, right, but it's hard to take that action of actually pumping the brakes. It's kind of like we're going at life and we're driving down the highway, going super fast, ignoring every speed limit sign, right? And have you all ever been in a place where maybe you're cruising the interstate for a while, and so you can go like 75, 70, whatever, and you're just getting it and keeping steady. But then all of a sudden the speed limit drops and it goes down to 65, and then all of a sudden it decreases to 60, and then all of a sudden it's 55, and then all of a sudden you're in a town and there's a red light and it's 45. We missed every sign, right? We missed every warning sign to slow down, that there's gonna be a stop ahead. But we just kept trucking, kept moving forward, kept doing the things, kept filling the calendar, kept taking on more, kept saying yes instead of no, kept appeasing others instead of appeasing ourselves. And then all of a sudden, we have to pump the brake, right? We have to hit the brake, and we have to hit that brake to save our life at that point, and to save the lives of others that are around us, right? So that we don't crash into the car, so that we don't run through the red light and injure somebody else. When we start doing this healing work, when we commit to the healing path, when we commit to our purpose, but we know we want to do it in a holistically sustainable way, a way that sustains our mind, body, and spirit, that promotes a healthy mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being, right? When we start to take those steps, it's like slamming on the brake. Our nervous system is so used to being in survival mode. It's so used to going and doing. Our brain, our muscle memories, our energy, everything is used to going and doing, that it starts to feel scary when we stop the doing. It's almost like we're waiting on the crash to happen at that point. We don't know what to do with our hands. Who are we going to talk to? What do we do? And I hear this from retired people too. Did any of y'all experience that? You hear the conversations of those that are getting ready to enter retirement, and they're like, I don't know what to do with myself if I'm not working 40 hours a week or doing all the overtime. And you can tell there's that fear. I had that fear too. My value, my worth that I gave myself at some point was valued based off who I was as a person, on how much I could help, how much I was doing. That equaled success to me. The more you do, the happier life you have. Hustle culture, right? Somewhere along the way, I decided I didn't want to be a boss babe. I don't want to hustle. I want a simple life. I want a life that supports me in all those aspects, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. If that sounds like you, and you're creating more space, you're doing more work, you're starting to say no and all that, and you feel yourself start tensing up, you feel the fear start coming in, know that that is just hitting the brakes on the nervous system. When I start working with those through the Reiki reprogram, the Awaken the Healer Within You, one of the things we start implementing is a time for stillness. And it's always a conundrum, but that's what I share, is this is like pumping the brakes on your nervous system. We've been missing those signs to decrease the speed limit. We've still been hightailing it, running from something, right? Running in fear, trying to fight somebody, trying to please somebody, trying to beg for our life and our happiness. When we start not doing that, boom, nervous system freaks out. So it feels like a fainting goat for a bit. Okay, like a firecracker went off. As I was going through this experience on the road, I jotted down some things. I pulled over and I wanted to make sure to note this. So I just want to share with you these quick little notes that I noted. Driving on the highway, ignoring the speed drops, red light around the corner. It's not slamming on the brakes that risk the life. It's not the slamming on the brakes that risk our lives. We're going to come back to that. It stops it. It stops the risk. It stops it. It stops the risk. It saves it. Saves our life. It's the refusal to slow down. It's the refusal to slow down that causes burnout. Pump the brakes. When we talk about that it's not the slamming on the brakes that risks the life. Think about that. Think about when you're approaching the red light in that situation and you slam on the brake. You are at that point trying to save your life and the lives of others, right? Thank goodness you slammed on the brake, because if you hadn't slammed on the brake, what would have happened? Big crash. When we start doing the work, it feels like we're embracing and like we're preparing for that impact, for that crash. And to a degree, our life does start crashing around us. The tower starts falling, right? Because it was built on this faulty foundation, and now all of a sudden we've got to clean up the mess and throw this brick out and get rid of that brick and prepare for rebuild. But if we don't slow down, what's going to happen? Right? At some point, we're going to miss the opportunity to hit that brake. At some point, we're going to run through all those parked cars. So I just felt called to share this. Really as just a reminder that if you are walking the path, if you are trying to become holistically sustainable, if you are trying to cultivate that life that meets those needs, that meets the foundational human and spiritual aspect of yourself, it's gonna feel scary. It's gonna feel like that crash moment. But it's okay. The more that we keep working, moving forward, the more that we allow ourselves to pump the brake, our body is going to readjust to that slower pace. Our body's going to readjust to that more space. And that space will get filled but hopefully in a more aligned way. Our energy and nervous system will get regulated into a way that it feels safe. It is possible for us to find safety in chaos. When that's all we've known, when our worth and our identity are in all of these things, we find safety in the chaos. And as we start to slow down, as we start to heal, as we start to come into holistic sustainability, what we're doing is retraining our being that it's safe to be in peace. It's safe to be sustainable. It's safe to slow down. So I hope this finds you at the right time, and I hope this helps you feel seen and heard. If it did, a thumbs up and a subscribe or a share is always appreciated. It just allows this information to get out there with those who need it and who resonate with it. I appreciate each and every one of you every day that you show up, that you watch this, that you do your work, that you share your perspectives and beliefs with me. I'm grateful that you're here. So until next time, love and light. You are always worthy. You are never alone.